So in this video we will be talking about Silksong bosses lore and ranking them. And if you have a specific boss in mind, check the description for the timestamps. Let's get right to it. So at E tier we have the Broodmother. Imagine a creature making so much noise when giving birth to a child that they dispatch a hitman to shut it up. And the boss fight is very confined and she constantly spawns. It can prove problematic. And another E tier is the E.mothmother. There is one at the start of the game and there's another two in the Weakness Alta. And if we come back in Act 3 there is another. This boss resembles the Vengeful King movesets from Hollow Knight. And the fight isn't very hard when you have the movement skills. Another E tier boss is the E.voltwyrm, hidden in the sands of Karak in the Vault Nest. The boss moveset is outright predictable and very easy to track. But it drops a very good reward, that is the Fold Filament, that when imbued with the silk skills, it boosts their power. Another E rank is the Savage Beastfly that had the uninstall button look pretty, but it doesn't even come close to the one in the far fields that spawn these obnoxious creatures that probably have the power of foresight, can spit it out right in your face. And you have to fight a boss on a destroyable platform, and Team Cherry was testing the rage bait limit with this. Another E rank is the Skull Tyrant, and there's one in the Marrow as a part of the quest. And there's another that comes in the Bone Bottom and destroys whatever the poor Menderbark had built. And Chakra kind of foreshadowed this, as she said Bone Bottom have no security. Now we move to D tier, and the first are the four brothers Cygnus and Groan. Bound to eternally work in the Deep Docks, these brothers punish whoever doesn't work. And what I really like about Deep Docks is the Flint Slate, and you can use Flint Slate as a powerful boost to your weapon. Another interesting boss is the Father of Flames, which is an optional boss in the Witch Thicket. You just put the corpse of an old bug inside it and worship it as an idol and bring sacrifices to it. And one of the things in the second phase that give me PTSD is the similarity between the attacks and Nightmare King Green. And honestly, Green was one of the best, if not the best, in the Silksong series. Another D rank is the Crawfather, and you get the summon to the Court of Crows in Act 3. And crows were like, hey, you destroy Falun, come and get a trial. And the Crawfather says, O Clatter's chorus, this spider's spiderling, sinner I say sinner, I condemn, I punish, a calamitous criminal. And honestly, they are in the right, because the Pale being just bring ruin. And Hornet inherited half of it. Another D rank is the Pale Stag, which is located in the Lost Gaidania. The summoned projectiles is the only thing in this boss, which isn't very hard. But the visuals of the Lost Verdania might be one of the best in the game. Another boss is the D.groal the Great. What should I say about this boss? The obnoxious Ballwater, the Magmagan infestation, the horrendous runback. This boss traumas will echo for years in the player's minds. And the boss's lore is also nasty, which he agreed to help his slave shamans against the Citadel, and stole the same shaman's soul to empower himself. Another D rank is the D.conchflies. In the Hollow Knight we had the Primal Aspits, and in the Silksong they took that model and made 10 plus variants of it, whether it's a Craw, a Conchfly, or another creature. And they didn't stop in there, they made 2 bosses and then an enraged version of that boss. With the amount of patience I used in Silksong, I think I can face any challenge in real life. Moving to C tier is the Disgraced Chef Lagoli. What can I say about this boss? This boss is a meme itself. The rear-end attacks, the summons look back. This boss quickly turned into a meme in the community. He got expelled from the Citadel for the culinary crimes, which was probably cannibalism, as you can see the pickled mug maggot in the room above. Another boss is a Watcher at the Edge, which is one of the more cinematic bosses. Watching the border of a kingdom long lost, stiffened by time and awoken by sign. Watcher at the Edge is probably the most secret boss in the Silksong, located at the sands of Karak. Boss fight isn't that hard, because you only have 2 attacks, but it is atmospheric and sad. Another C tier is the Force Chorus, initially sent by the Citadel to hound down the seamstress. As the Pinstress guild was part of the Citadel, but they left because of the tourney. And you can see the Pinstress pin inside its head. The boss is a starting one and isn't that hard, but it has a lore significance. Another hidden boss in the far fields is the Gurr the Outcast. You can see the taxidermied bugs in his stash, which honestly reminded me of the Collector in Hollow Knight. But the Collector was expressive, while this one is expressionless. The boss's only attack is setting up traps, and honestly it's not very hard to avoid them. And he could make a good do with the Pale King, as he also likes traps and the boss souls. Another C rank is the Sister Splinter, and it reminded me of Master Splinter in Tertiary Ninjas when I saw the name. This one is a last of a race that took over Shellwood when A.nyleth was gone. The boss isn't that hard if you use Threadstone to shred his summons, and later Nu can be found tasting her corpse, and I think I've seen it all with this game. Another C rank is the Raging Conchfly, and I just want to talk about Hornet's journal entry on this. Hornet says to pair with another is the based insect, and brings bugs great joy. I once thought similar union, but of my own mates none could match my lifespan. Which is funny and sad at the same time, because Hornet is a pale being and practically immortal. So unlike what others saying that Hornet is young, she is actually very old, and she would outlive any suitor that proposed to her. Which I sometimes imagined she and Sherma mating, but it wouldn't be a happy ending because she would see him die too. The last C rank is the Moorwing, guarding the Bellheart entrance. You can skip this boss fight by moving the flea caravan, or if you kill them, the fleas will load his corpse on carts and move along with it until they reach the Philtopia. And in their end of the world feast, they will roast it, which is actually savage because the fleas, unlike their soft appearance, are actually very tough. Moving to B tier, we have the Pinstress, who is a member of the Pinstress guild alongside Seamstress. And after Act 3, she goes ballistic and wants to die is a challenge. challenge. But after some kind words from Hornet, you will be convinced that the world won't end. Another B rank boss is the Unraveled, and it's the corpse of the conductor Mizzle, filled with bug husks. As they injected silk to become immortal, but psych, no cost too great didn't work out here too. The next B rank boss is the last judge, and the heartbreaking part for me was that she kills these poor creatures at the start. And this is a troll boss, as in the end she will self-detonate. And the run back is also painful. The first time you fight Lace is in the deep docks, but it can be avoided, and you see her later for the blast of the steps or in the Sinner's Road based on which route you take. And honestly, this fickle attitude of Lace make her one of my least favorites. The next one is the B.bellbeast, and acts as a pet in Silksong once you defeat her. And she protects you from the Bill Eater and have this little cute puppy that without her traversing Forloom would be insufferable. The next B rank boss is the Clover Dancers in the Lost Verdannia, one of the more sophisticated characters in Silksong. The Green Prince had a lover that in order to save Lost Verdannia from the Citadel, he sacrificed himself and became the mold for the Cogwork Dancers. And honestly, I don't know how to feel about the chemistry between these two. Moving to A tier, we have Widow, which is one of the Weavers, and at the start she recognized you as the child of those who dared to flee. But she probably wasn't always like this, as they removed her mask, and thus by losing her identity she agreed to weaken the cage of the grandmother. And the boss fight is the best in Act 1 with great soundtrack. The next boss is the Phantom that is in the secret area of Mist. It can be accessed through the Sinner's Road, and it's the alternative to the last judge for the Act 2. At the start it reminded me of the Evie Jones because of the pipe organ, but some of you pointed out that it's a reference to the Phantom of the Opera. And the boss fight is very fun, and you get the cross stitch for defeating her. The next boss is the Grandmother Silk. If the Radiance was the sun, Grandmother is the moon. But honestly, first time that I saw the name I laughed aloud. Grandma is probably not a suitable name for the last boss of a game. Silk Deuce probably would be a name that I choose. The next one is the A.nyleth, and it's one of the 4 hearts that you need for the ritual. When the platform was gone and I wanted to go to the other side and attack her, she would exactly know when I was going to move, which is the insane AI of this game. The next one is the A.crustking Khan, and it's in this gorgeous landscape, but the gauntlet leading to the boss weren't gorgeous at all, in which you had to fight 40 waves of enemies, and this place was the closest thing that I came to rage quitting. But the boss fight wasn't that hard, it was pretty fun. Next one is the Cogwork Dancers, and the ranking is high because of the amazing music. And while it's an easy one for some people, I don't know why I had so much trouble with this one. The boss has 3 phases and it's very fun to fight it. Moving to S tier, the first one is the Shrine Guardian S.seth. This one was a sad boss fight outright, especially if you know the lore behind the character that was made by S.lost Garmond, a cancer patient, but he didn't make it to see it in game. And the soundtrack's name is A.nyleth, which is one of the saddest in game. Rest in peace, S.lost Garmond. Next one is the first unit, which is a hidden boss in the slab. This boss might have the most significant lore among the others. In short, Grandmother created these weavers from simple spiders, and one of them realized that she was lying and they were being used, and she already knew how to make rune cages from the silk, and they imprisoned her, which sowed the distrust between weavers and the grandmother, and they created their nest in Weaveness Alta away from the eyes of the grandmother and plotted to overthrow her. The next one is the S.lost Garmond, and before you blame me for putting him so high, for the boss fight is obviously easy, but Garmond is the best and most honorable NPC in the game, that in order to save his village from the hunting he sought out its core and never gave up till the end, and seeing Zaza is staying by his side even though he's gone is the most heartbreaking thing in the game. Next one is Carmelita, and this boss fight had me on the verge of the insanity. The mechanics and the flow of this boss is probably the best in the game, which is hard to figure out, but when you do, it's very rewarding. The next boss is the Lost Lace. One of rebellions of the Lace was freeing Hornet from the cage and denying the Hornet silk from the grandmother, but again I don't like the fickle attitude of this NPC. The boss fight is crushing and it has an insane AI. If you attack first you will be counterattacked, so it's wise to wait for her. The next one is the Tormented Trobio. While in Act 2 he was saying that shiny performances can bring the glory of Forloom back, in Act 3 he changed his mindset and becomes a doomsayer, relinquishing any resistance and the use of. And the final boss in this ranking is the second Sentinel. Created by architects to protect the pilgrims, Sentinel is less built as a tool to serve, but an attempt at life itself, and he is the last one of the 5 automatons. Upon helping him in various places in the Citadel, he will initiate the final audience wish, and he will challenge you in the high halls and attack you to see if you are still sentient and not affected by the haunting.